When we speak of the Vikings, images of fearless warriors, dragon-headed longships, and glory on the battlefield immediately come to mind. Modern drama has painted them as explorers and heroes. Yet, behind the gleam of swords and sagas of courage lies a horrific history that has long been overlooked. The Vikings were not just raiders. They were the most prolific slave traders of medieval Europe. And their most valuable, most sought-after commodity was women. Today, we pull back the curtain on the story of the thralls, specifically the thousands of women snatched from their homes, transforming from free mothers and wives into mere tools for pleasure and hard labor in the frozen lands of the north. The nightmare almost always began at dawn. A peaceful village in England, Ireland, or along the river banks of Russia wakes to the streams of terror. The Vikings did not kill everyone indiscriminately. They selected their merchandise with brutal efficiency. The men were often slaughtered where they stood, but the young, beautiful women were the ultimate prize. Imagine the sheer terror. Dragged by the hair, forced to walk over the bodies of their families, and thrown into the bottom of a cold, crowded wooden ship. These were not just spoils of war. This was the beginning of a journey of no return. Huddled together in the darkness, soaked by the freezing sea spray, their past lives were erased forever. Upon arriving at Viking trading hubs like Hedeby or Dublin, the second stage of humiliation began, the slave market. Here a woman was no longer treated as a human being, but as livestock or fabric. Buyers would inspect the captives with degrading precision. They would pry open their mouths to check their teeth, feel their limbs for muscle, and examine their eyes to ensure health and breeding potential. The price depended on two factors: beauty and strength. A strong woman was destined for the fields, but a beautiful woman faced a different, perhaps crueler fate. She was purchased to be a concubine or a bedwife. Sold to the highest bidder, she passed from the hands of a trader to the grip of a master. In Norse society, a slave, or thrall, had the lowest legal status imaginable. They had zero rights. For women, it was a double hell. By day, they were forced into back-breaking labor that pushed the limits of human endurance, grinding grain, washing clothes in freezing rivers, and tending to livestock. But by night, there was no rest. Many of these women were forced to share their master's bed. This was not a choice, it was a mandatory duty. The Viking's lawful wife held the power of the household, while the concubine lived in the shadows, resented by the wife and exploited by the husband. And if she bore a child, that child was often born a slave, spinning the wheel of suffering for another generation. But do you know the worst fate these women could face? It wasn't the hard labor or the abuse, but ritual death. The Arab traveler Ibn Fadlan in the 10th century recorded a chilling eyewitness account of the Rus Vikings. When a chieftain died, he did not go to the afterlife alone. Often, a slave girl would volunteer, usually under the influence of drugs and immense psychological pressure, to die with him. Ibn Fadlan described terrifying rituals led by an old priestess known as the Angel of Death. The girl was intoxicated, ritually abused by the men of the tribe, and then brutally sacrificed to be placed on the burning ship beside her master. This was the ultimate tragedy. Her life was stolen to serve her master, even in death. These women, with their blood and tears, helped build the Viking world. They altered the genetic landscape of places like Iceland and the Faroe Islands. Modern DNA studies reveal a startling truth. While the male settlers were Norse, the majority of the founding female population was Celtic, captured from the British Isles. History is written by the victors, which is why we hear of Viking raids and glory. But the silence of these women still echoes through history.
The story of the Viking sex slaves is not just a tale from the past. It is a reminder of the cruelty humanity is capable of when values disappear and power rules. They are the forgotten victims who built a civilization that never acknowledged them.